Dust falling from heaven is preserved in a peculiar mourning rite, the sprinkling of dust upon the head. The practice is mentioned throughout the Bible, being a standard part of Hebrew mourning ritual. Joshua, for example, when he learned of the military debacle at the city of Ai, rent his clothes and put dust on his head. Job's 3 friends sprinkled dust upon their heads towards heaven when they learned of his misfortunes. The elders of Zion at the time of the prophet Jeremiah cast dust into the air so that it would fall upon their heads as an act of mourning. During New Testament times, when Paul recited his conversion story to the Roman soldiers in the castle of Jerusalem, they became incensed. They demanded that Paul be killed, taking off their clothes and casting dust in the air in outrage. Casting dust into the air and upon one's head in mourning is not limited to the ancient Hebrews. The ancient Iranians did the same as the national epic of Iran, the Shahnameh, attests. Women performed the role of mourners in the Egyptian opening of the mouth ceremony. Illustrations from the Book of the Dead portray them as patting their heads with dust. Sprinkling dust upon the head was also a part of Greek mourning rites as well. The Greek satirist Lucian recorded the practice in his critique on mourning. Homer, in the Iliad, writes that when Achilles learned of the death of Patroclus, his mentor, he filled his hands with dust and poured it onto his head. Professional mourners of India cover their entire bodies with dust. Among the Maidu Indians of Northern California, the men throw dust on their heads while the women cast it on their shoulders and back. In other words, mourning by casting dust into the air and upon the head was a global practice by the ancients. Though no longer practiced today, the ritual will return during the calamities of the Second Coming. John, in his vision of the future events, saw that shipmasters and soldiers mourned the fall of Babylon the Great by casting dust on their heads. Commentators on this practice are at a loss as to how to explain its origin. Ad hoc theories on its meaning and significance abound, but no one seems to know where it came from. The inability to explain religious practices, such as the sprinkling of dust on one's head, is understandable. The world, for good reason, has willingly forgotten its past and disguised it in symbol. Myths and ritual are the symbols man has used to hide the past from himself. The truth is that the planetary catastrophes were too painful to remember directly. Immanuel Velikovsky called it collective amnesia. Still, we do remember in the sense that we imitate and recapitulate the events of the past through the archetypes of myth and ritual.